Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and this is a response video to one the truck guy made. It's his YouTube channel, The Truck Guy. I'll put a link below. You ought to check it out and subscribe. But anyway, he made a response video a while ago to my throwing a couple of cubic yards of shade onto this Stanley Fat Max utility knife. I had a few things I didn't like about it. But anyway, that's why we learn, or how we learn from each other. But anyway, he added a video this summer, so it was a while ago, about this particular knife, which is the Milwaukee. It's the 48221512 self-retracting utility knife. And he was not at all impressed. Okay, and I get that. I mean, he had some valid points. I totally understand, but we're not talking this wonderful Fiskars here, which is my current favorite utility knife right now. But in order to criticize this thing, I'm going to really lower the bar. Like, okay, this here, and I don't know if he's going to like this, but this Stanley here, this $2.99, to me is probably the most dangerous tool in the tool bag. This thing, it's non-retractable, slippery. The blade, being always out, tends to fall. If you drop it in something, it falls base first and sticks upright because it's heavier. That's the back side of it. And it's just ready to cut you, just sitting there waiting. It takes a screwdriver and minutes in order to take this thing apart and pull the blade safely out and put a new blade in. I mean, this is awful. This is dangerous. These should be recalled or something. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Might have a use. What about this guy? This abomination, this X-Acto, is plastic. Super light. All plastic parts except the screw and the razor blade here. And this thing, this button is so weak that it barely holds the blade, and the blade is actually held in by plastic detents. So add a little bit of force and something's going to give, and it probably isn't the blade breaking. Instead, it's going to either come apart in your hand, or it's going to slip, or these two halves are going to separate and the blade's going to fly between, or this mechanism's going to give up and slam forward. This is a dangerous weapon as well. You can just hear it creaking. It's to hold a knife blade. I mean, I can separate. You see that? I can just pull that apart. To me, this is just an accident waiting to happen. So now that I've successfully lowered the bar, let's take a look at Milwaukee's self-retracting blade. One thing I noticed right away is they've got a picture of a blade here on the packaging. That's not the blade that came with this, just in case you're wondering. The two features are, one, it's tool-free for blade change. I'll show you that. And the second is that you can put a lanyard in it. So hopefully you don't lose it. Let's see. I wonder if you could put a lanyard in that, because lanyards are pretty amazing. What about that guy? What about that guy? Oh, no. I'll add that to my list of things wrong with that. But anyway, what we've got is, this is a metal, where does it say somewhere? It's a metal body right there. I don't know what it's made of. It feels like aluminum or zinc or something. It's really slippery. I might spray some Teflon on it or put some oil on it so I can get a better grip. That is the slipperiest knife. Obviously not this. That's what I like about it. This is the slipperiest utility knife I've ever felt. So what does it do? It has a standard thumb ramp with a sliding blade. You notice the blade is rounded. So that's one thing that's different right there compared to my picture. No rounded corners there. And it doesn't stay out. No matter what you do, it's designed to retract immediately if you let go of this. You can hold it in about, I think I found 3 good ways. Obviously, this is kind of the default way. But you could also, if you were using it and you needed to come in from underneath, you could do that and get the blade out. And then if you're coming from the side, you know, holding it from the side, you could do that to cut this way. It's still the thumb, but you're just holding it differently than more kind of the indexed precision. Now, since it keeps sliding in, you have to really want that feature. So why would you want a knife that doesn't stay available? It might be that it's required by your company or business or OSHA or something, that you absolutely cannot have a blade that remains sticking out, probably because there are all these workman's comp injuries because of these stupid old Stanleys. Or maybe the X-Acto's breaking on people. If I open this guy up, you can see what's in here. There's our blade. You can see it's got the two rounded corners. So you can take that out, just wedges out, and you can see this mechanism. It's fairly well designed. It's got a strong spring. I thought about getting a different spring that was actually longer, and I'd compress it, and I would actually have a utility knife that would stay out, that I had to forcibly retract, but it would immediately snap out the moment I let go. Maybe another day. It's got some room for blade storage inside here, up to 5 more blades if you'd like on the inside. And basically this thing is kind of solid in here, so you don't have to worry about it, you know, falling apart where some of these just explode into pieces. So the question is, do you want a retractable blade, or an auto-retracting blade with no way to keep it out without, or to keep the blade out, or you know, in its fighting position when your thumb is off the switch? Now, that's why you would want this. So my advice is don't get it unless that's exactly what you want. And the reason you'd want it is up to you. Now, it is a good solid utility knife, I'll bet, a little bit slippery. So if I grab something here, I can bring it out. This is not my ideal cutting. If I grab a knife like this, I'm usually not keeping my thumb up. I might roll it to the side to get a better rounded grip because the thumb is opposing. And I've taken it out of the equation here, and now I'm using it as a control. I should be able to grab the knife here, which is where these come in, so I can get a much more solid grip. Same with the X-Acto. You know, I roll my thumb off to hang onto it tight. I don't lose that grip. If you were hanging onto like handlebars and you took your thumb off because you were busy shifting or something, you know, you might think, well, this is great if all's well, but there's no way I'm going to take my thumb off the handlebar, you know, say you're mountain biking or something, and you know, to do the shift, you know, when you really have to control the bike. This one, you've got to keep it off. So I've lost some of that control. So that is a bit of a problem. And if I move it to, you know, say holding it sideways or something, you know, as I'm cutting, you know, it still works. It's nice that it disappears. So here's the trade-off: safety versus control. This takes away some of the control. You've got, you know, you're a wider stance, if you will, on this. You've taken your thumb out of the equation, you know, unless you try to hold it some other way. It's a slippery handle. Basically, to me, this is maybe for some simple jobs. Whoops. Now, like here, I have to flip it over and operate it this way in order, if I wanted to cut it up the side that way. So it's a unique knife. It has its place. And if you get it and don't like it, it means you got the wrong knife. But it's absolutely the right knife for this very small, narrow, teeny-weeny, itty-bitty tool utility space that this thing occupies. Would I want this? Well, too late. I already got one, just to try it out and see. Would I recommend it? Only if you need that feature for some reason. And I don't think it's safer in terms of use. If I have to do much cutting, honestly, I would rather have this, because this is designed to cut. This is designed not to cut. And if it's not to cut, I have to make it do something it doesn't want to do by holding that blade out. And to me, yeah, maybe the blade's going to disappear if something happens, but the likelihood of something happening is greater with this. So What do I think about all these? Right there. They all have their qualities and their flaws. This one, fabulous. This one, only if you need that. This one will cut. It cuts. It doesn't care. It cuts with reckless abandon, and it'll probably cut you. And this thing is because X-Acto probably got, you know, pressure to make a knife like this. So they did in their plastic, and now they can claim they have one. It looks pretty cool. It's got nice finger grooves and everything else. Even though those don't work because you have to be able to move your hand around. But hey, they got one, so good for them. Anyway, so that's my response video. I agree with about everything he says, except this does have a place. But if you get it and you don't occupy that place, then it's exactly what the truck guy said. It's not a good knife. But it does have some things to offer the tool community. And with that, Doc out.